Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Ross, and as always told, I had a voice for radio, so today I'm going to be showing you news that a Pokemon TV show episode has been banned. It's not being shown for the first time in 16 years. 2002 was the last time an episode got banned, ladies and gentlemen. Now, when I say banned, it's not officially been banned per se, but it's been taken out of the running order. We've got no word when it's going to come, and it's been taken out of the running order for very good reason, so I think banned is an appropriate term to use. Now, essentially, this is an episode where Ash has to go and sort out a problem with Persimmon. And from what I understand, it's something about there's a couple groups of Persimmon and they need to find a leader and they play a game and all of that stuff. It's called Touchdown of Friendship, which does really nicely follow the Persimmon theme. Persimmon seemed to be football themed. There was a Persimmon trading card which had an attack called Intentional Grounding, which I enjoyed very much. And Ash tries to help these Persimmons, so he does what anyone would do in such a situation. He dresses up like a Persimmon. Big problem. He covers his face entirely in black paint. This is not something people want to see in children's TV shows. And essentially, it's trying to change your ethnicity with paint. It's not cool. Some people see it as very insensitive. And this is a kids' TV show, right? This is something which is supposed to appeal to all children. The last thing we want is something insensitive in there. How could this possibly happen? The reason is very simple. These TV shows are not made in the US. These TV shows are made in Japan. They are then sent to the US where they are redubbed, editing is done, etc., etc., but they are largely the same TV show just sent over to be dubbed in languages other than Japanese. Now, that does do a bit of a disservice to the brilliant hard work of so many people that work on these shows. I apologize for the simplification, but essentially speaking, it's made in Japan and then it comes over here. This is not something which is likely to be accepted by Western audiences. And when you saw the pictures I put up on the screen, the vast majority of you probably immediately went, yeah, I understand why this show got pulled from the running order. Is it likely to be unbanned? Almost certainly not. But it could be re-edited. It could be re-edited to take away the face paint and just have him wearing a Persimmon costume. Nobody's going to be upset about that. But unfortunately, there have been way too many unsavory incidents, not obviously in TV shows, but in history, of people dressing up in this way in a very insensitive and offensive manner. And, right, let's face it, this is a TV show. It's clearly not intended to be offensive. It's clearly intended as a little bit of a tee-hee-hee, I'm dressed as a Persimmon. It's a comedy thing, right? He's made to look a bit silly and over the top in a comedic manner. However, no, it's not something we can have on TV over here. I want to give big props to both the Pokemon Company themselves, and I believe it's 4Kids that actually make the TV show over here. Because instead of going, oh, that might offend people, let's just see what happens, they went, some people won't like that. It's a kids' TV show. It's supposed to be inclusive. Let's get rid of it. I like it. I think this is a very sensitive and sensible decision on the part of the people making and responsible for this episode. I'm all in favour of this. Maybe in the future it'll be re-edited. As it stands at the moment, we're just not getting it. There has been no official word, but do not expect to see it coming back anytime soon. Now, this is, of course, not the first time a TV episode was banned for the Pokemon anime. The most famous one was the Porygon episode. Now, it was called Computer Warrior Porygon. A lot of the information I'm getting here is from Bulbapedia, a great Pokemon website, but it is commonly called Electric Soldier Porygon. And in that episode, the team go into a Pokeball transport system to find out why the Pokeballs aren't getting where they're supposed to go, and they end up riding a Porygon. What could possibly go wrong? Well, Pikachu ends up electrocuting a missile, there's a big strobing effect, and 700 people had health effects when this aired in Japan. Anything from vomiting and irritated eyes all the way up to epileptic seizures. It was never rebroadcast, never released, never dubbed into another language. The TV show, when this happened, actually went on hiatus for 4 months, and pretty much every Japanese TV show started putting disclaimers at the front of their episodes saying not to sit too close to the telly and to make sure you watch it in a brightly lit room. Here's what annoys me about this episode, though. Pikachu caused the problem. Pikachu caused the flashing lights. Pikachu has been in every episode since in a major role. Porygon has not featured prominently in a single Pokemon TV show episode since this happened. Porygon is being punished for Pikachu's mistakes. That, ladies and gentlemen, not cool. This also did give Pokemon a weird world record: most photosensitive epileptic seizures caused by a television show. Probably not the world record you're looking for. Now, there were some episodes that aired in Japan but were then basically banned everywhere else, starting with the 18th episode, Beauty and the Beach, where James decided to enter a beauty contest and get himself some inflatable breasts to try and help him win the competition. This was a little bit weird and a little bit inappropriate, and although it was okay for Japanese audiences, it was deemed not okay when it came over here. There was also a subliminal frame showing Misty in a bikini saying Japan's #1 best, which was cut after the first time it was aired. It did eventually make it to air in the US, etc., 3 years later, at which point it was heavily edited. It was only 18 minutes long, and obviously the footage of James with his, let's say, fake female form taken out. But I wasn't the only one that was banned. The 35th episode, The Legends of MINIRYU, was Ash going to the Safari Zone. He caught a bunch of Tauros, and several characters pointed guns at people in this episode. Now, it was all done for comedic effect here, but it wasn't okay. It is not what we want on children's TV in the US, Europe, etc., and this episode, because it happened so much, never actually aired. Now, this led to a weird continuity error, because in that episode, Ash caught 30 Tauros. And then in future episodes, Ash has 30 Tauros, but they never had an episode where he went and caught 30 Tauros. It was, to be blunt, a little bit weird. And the other episodes that were banned all involved Jynx. You see, initially, when Jynx was designed, Jynx's skin, so to speak, was black. And several people thought that this was essentially a racially insensitive caricature and inappropriate. And Jynx made it into a couple of TV episodes. Holiday Hi-Jynx, where Jynx has Santa's boot but can't find the North Pole. Dance Pokemon Showboat, where there's a whole bunch of talking Pokemon and Ash has to help someone get friendly with their Raichu. And the Mandarin Island Mismatch, where Lorelei of the Elite Four used a Jynx. These episodes didn't make it to air. Now, Holiday Hi-Jynx eventually aired 15 years later, with a purple Jynx. The design of Jynx was altered to be purple rather than black. Dance Pokemon Showdown did air in 2000, but did not appear in the box set and is not available on Pokemon.com. The same can be said of the Mandarin Island Mismatch, although there was an extra bit in that particular episode. There was about a 25-second scene which focused on the cleavage of Lorelei, including a weirdly zoomed-in scene, and when it aired, a 25-second scene was cut because, again, this was not deemed to be appropriate for children. But the episode as a whole now has essentially been forgotten and ignored. It's not on the DVD, it's not on Pokemon.com because of the whole Jynx incident. And then finally we had the Ice Cave, episode 250, where the group fell into some ice and they got a bit cold and they battled Team Rocket. And this was banned because Jynx was a main character. You couldn't just edit around, and it came around after the initial controversy. The initial Jynx episodes aired and then were stopped airing, but the Ice Cave was made after the whole Jynx thing kicked off, and at that stage, quite frankly, it was deemed that Jynx was too important to the episode, and the episode was cut entirely. There is a good news ending to the Jynx saga, of course, because the episode Mean with Envy, where Snorunt practices Ice Beam and there's a Pacific Log competition, was the debut of Jynx's redesign, where it's clearly nothing bad. It's clearly just a weird-looking fictional creature. I like that Pokemon do this. I have a 5-year-old niece who adores the Pokemon anime, who watches it on a daily basis. And sometimes things are going to slip through the net, especially when the episodes are made in Japan and then shipped over here. Personally, I give a lot of props to both the Pokemon Company, and I think it's still 4Kids that make the TV show, for being careful enough to try and get rid of anything inappropriate. This isn't a show that's aimed at teenagers, adults, it's a show aimed at children, and they are going out of their way to keep it child-friendly. I, for one, am a fan of this. But what do you think? Do you think this Persimmon episode should have been banned? Do you think it was inappropriate? Tell me in the comment section, and I mean this very sincerely. Go nuts, but be nice. Do please watch your phrasing in the comments of this video, shall we say. Let's have nobody being offended. This is supposed to be a friendly discussion of some TV episodes that never made it to air. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do just that. And do make sure you check out my video game/Dragon Ball Super channel, Wassy Plays, for some more Wassy action. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.